Welcome back. Nursery school teachers are being urged to make children's rhymes and songs gender neutral. This is in a bid to prevent discrimination against transgender pupils. A teacher's manual for nursery school children developed by the Department of Basic Education in collaboration with Stellenbosch University has highlighted changes such as using the word parents instead of mommies when singing the nursery rhyme, The Wheels on the Bus. McLachlan is the chair of the Sexuality and Gender Division of the Psychological Society of South Africa. Chris, thank you so much for making time for us this afternoon. So one of the suggestions contained in this manual for teachers and practitioners working in early childhood development centers is to make nursery rhymes gender neutral. How will this assist in creating that environment that is free of gender stereotyping?
Good day and good day to all your viewers, and thanks for inviting me here. I think the whole thing is that in our world, as we know it now, we are becoming aware that there are so much diversity and not one thing fits everybody and all families. And by starting to include this in our curriculum from a very, very young age, the possibility exists that our young people already can become part of this space of inclusivity and being part of a community that cares for everybody. And I think it is on the one side for our trans and gender diverse people, but it also includes all families. So instead of saying there's a mommy if there's only a daddy or a gogo, but they are the parent of the child, we are inclusive. And then as well, that children from a young age can start expressing and exploring their own gender that is not necessarily part of this gender binary that is such a Western construction and that we have bought in so much. So I see it as a space where we can really learn to start embracing one another and the uniqueness and start celebrating inclusivity.
Yeah. How wary do teachers need to be, especially of pictures and words in storybooks that may convey that very same, idea of gender stereotyping? I mean, in the school material, you often see, boys referred to as naughty, they are brave, they are competitive, and then you've got girls referred to as, they're sweet, they're beautiful, they're shy. And imagine kids learning about a brave girl who is saving her brother from danger, for instance, or a boy with two dads or two moms. So how wary do the teachers need to be when they're engaging with that material?
Well, I don't know if I would use the word wary, than more very aware of what is happening out there. And to become much more softer and thinking about what is important to my students, my learners sitting here. And then become aware of what is in the material. So we know a lot of material has been written from a perspective of quite a masculine, male, authoritative, patriarchal perspective. And we need to start questioning that. And I think especially our teachers, on the one side, the material they're dealing with, secondly, the class that they're dealing with, but also their own selves, and start asking themselves, but how do I see gender and how do I live gender? Because most of our educators are very strong people, being it male or female or non-binary, trans or gender diverse. It is already a strong person standing there. And a child can learn from that, but I can be whoever I am, and that is wonderful.
Yeah. And I know transgender and non-binary characters are also missing from such educational material, but that's what the education department is working on. Chris, when you create such an inclusive environment, what impact does it have on the children's mental health?
Well, we know that our trans and gender diverse kids from a young age experience this kind of exclusion or this kind of minority stress that comes through. They are questioned from a religious perspective at times, from the family structure, even in the school. They don't even have a safe space to go to the toilet, for example. The moment you start affirming a child to be whoever they are, we start seeing that the suicidality rate goes down. We start seeing that their mental health improves, less depression, less anxiety. And research, evidence-based research has indicated to us that the moment you affirm a child, it is the same level as challenges that any child faces. The moment you put them as a minority or the other, the moment you do that, you start seeing that having an impact on mental health. So for sure, this is, and I think that is why we are so excited about this manual coming through, is the moment we're seeing this, we start realizing that our children will be able to live up to their fullest potential and not trying to just survive in a system that is not for them, because they will all be included, each and every child.
Yeah, and I know I asked about the benefits on the mental health, for these children, but there are also benefits for society as well, right? The kids, when they learn how to be more accepting of people who may not necessarily be the same as them, right, from that young age, that helps create that better society. You avoid things like bullying, because before they bully someone else for being different to them, they remember that actually this is okay.
I think if we all can start realizing that we're all diverse in certain ways and start celebrating our own diversity, whatever it is, it's not necessarily gender, it's not necessarily a diverse race, it's not even necessarily neurologically diverse, but each of us has some wonderful other aspects. Then we can start bringing this giftedness in. So on the one side, yes, bullying can come down because we're starting to understand that all of us have gifts and all of us have challenges.
Yeah.
But it also then moves up to our parents and our grandparents, because I think when I grew up, there were so small little boxes that we had to fit in. And the more we learn through science, the more we learn through literally research being done, that it's always been there. It's not something new. Gender diversity, trans is not new. It's been there through all the millennia. The moment we start learning, it's not only our way, which is currently, quite unfortunately, very Western dominated in South Africa. There are so many other ways. There's other cultures that celebrate more than two genders. The moment we stop saying that I'm the only one right, then we can start really engaging with everybody around us. And by that, we are also then changing society up to literally our grandparents. And that is what I'm hoping for that will happen here.
Yeah. And this manual is obviously intended as a pilot document. There will still be consultative workshops on it. But so far, what sense are you getting in terms of how it's being received? I know it's been tested in other provinces, but some parents are taking issue with some aspects of it. And I wonder, how do we get the buy-in of everyone? Because you're going to need that.
I agree with you, but I think the reality is we won't always get the buy-in from everybody. But it is something that we need to challenge, and to change is difficult. And especially to change your own ideologies that you grow up with is exceptionally difficult, to start shifting it and to start learning that my way is not the only way. And I think if we can start listening to other people and their life stories and how they learned about life, and start realizing I'm not the only one in this world that has all the answers. There's so many. And by looking at these answers, to then say, but what is ethically, what can I live out there that's not going to hurt others, not going to hurt myself, but can embrace society? So I do think, and we're already seeing it, there is a very strong current coming in. Coming myself from a religious basis, being an ordained minister as well, I know that it is very difficult also to think about our own beliefs and question it. But we need to look at new ways of caring and inclusiveness and loving the other. And that's the challenge, is to step out of our comfort zone into this more uncomfortable spaces and realize that each one is important in this country. And how do we make it for them possible to live freely?
Absolutely. Chris McLachlan, thank you so much for making time for us this afternoon.